Depth charts, and more depth charts for the Philadelphia Eagles. What's going on, guys? I hope everyone's enjoying their Saturday, where the Eagles are not practicing today, and we'll have training camp practice Sunday at 10 a.m. It's gonna be a crazy weekend. We got Kelly Greens on Monday. It's a special weekend this weekend. But there were some things that I did leave out in my video from Friday's training camp, the second day of training camp, which I wanted to make into a separate video because my last video was like 27 minutes, and I was like, "There's no way I'm talking for another 10 minutes and speaking over 35 minutes that people are going to be like, dude, how do you make videos this long?" I know, trust me. But I want to go over depth charts for safety and cornerback, which is very interesting here, especially for the nickel corner position because, with Avonte Maddox and what's going on with him, and, he's still limited right now, and we really need to find some backups just in case for insurance policy. I think that's really important. I want to go over some news on the offensive line as well because I think there's some good things to take from that and the whole group in general. And that is it. So let's get straight into all the news.
We better turn around. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
So I hope everybody's enjoying their Saturday. I hope everyone's enjoying themselves today because we have some things to talk about here. Depth charts are very important. So what I don't know so far as of right now is like special teams depth charts, which those haven't really come out or been really hit. I don't know how much the Eagles have done special teams during those 2 days of training camp. We'll go a little bit further into it once we have more days of training camp. Then when we get to joint practices and all that great stuff, I think we need to talk about the offensive line, and one to talk about is Dennis Kelly, that we did sign not too long ago. Dennis Kelly was drafted by the Eagles in 2012 and left in 2015, and we really haven't seen him since. And now as a savvy vet coming to the Philadelphia Eagles, he was... he joined the Philadelphia Eagles, got into training camp, and it looks like from what the beat writers have said is he is the backup left tackle to Jordan Mailata right now. When it comes to this offensive line, and when you're an offensive lineman and you know more than one position, it's a good thing to know more than one position, but to play it well are two different things. The more worth you have, the more positions you know for this offensive line, which is awesome because Dennis Kelly can play left tackle, right tackle, and has played some guard. Since the Eagles don't have Andre Dillard anymore, he left to go to the Tennessee Titans. The Eagles weren't paying that fifth-year option, whatever it was, of $12.5 million. It just wasn't going to happen. But I think you have one of the most versatile groups of offensive line we've had in a while, especially guys that can play multiple positions. So when a lot of guys can, and I think a lot of guys can play them well, when it comes to tylersteen that can play left tackle, right tackle, and has the physicality to play right guard. You have Cam Jurgens that can play center and guard. Hopefully he won't be another right guard that becomes way too good if he starts this year. Otherwise, we're going to be having to look for another new center all over again for the third time, which is just insane as of right now. And obviously Jack Driscoll could play right guard, right tackle. Think he's more of a right guard because I just didn't like him playing right tackle last year when Lane had to miss some games. When he came into the league from Auburn, I thought he played very well at right tackle, and then he just fell off. I don't know what happened. Maybe he is a better right guard than he is a right tackle right now. So when it comes to this whole entire offensive line, even Trevor Reed, the undrafted free agent from Louisville, he's another guy that had over 300 pass block attempts last year, only gave up 3 sacks, had a really good year last year. So some projects, to definitely be considered. But as of right now, Dennis Kelly's the backup left tackle, and you have a lot of guys that can play multiple positions right now, and when you need a guy for a couple plays or for a game, I think you have guys on this roster that can play multiple positions and do a really good job. So, I think we're in a perfect position right now. They could add another offensive lineman through waiver wire when they start making cuts and when other teams start making cuts or something like that. So you never know what you could get by the end of really the offseason, the end of training camp, the preseason, when the Eagles have to, make those cuts in August, and they have to cut the roster down from 90 to 53 in one day. That's the new rule going into this year, which is going to be very stressful for a lot of teams. Hopefully we don't have to make any hard decisions, and every time I say that, I feel like we always do every single year. So comes the offensive line, I think we're set. I think we're ready to go, and can't wait to see more. I'm actually more excited to see what tylersteen could do once he kind of catches up. The only thing that Cam Jurgens really has over tylersteen right now is just He's been through an Eagles offseason. You know what I mean? Once tylersteen kind of catches up a little bit, who knows if tylersteen might be the better right guard. You know what I mean? So, yeah, who knows? I mean, Lane Johnson and Kelsey have spoke highly of Cam Jurgens if he is a starter at right guard this year. If he is, so a lot of exciting things with the offensive line going into the year. Now we're going to go to the defense with the depth chart right now. I think safety is very important right now because, yes, there's a lot to talk about here. Between Wednesday and Friday, okay? Now, before we get into this whole thing with the depth charts with this defense, okay, we have to go back to Sean Desai's press conference where he said there's no first team, there's no second team, there's no third team. Okay, he really values competition. He is giving every player a fair shot. He's not playing favorites. He's not playing his favorite player at a certain position. And no, he's giving everybody a fair shot, and I have to respect that a lot because he's going to get the most out of his roster once he finds out the strengths and weaknesses of a lot of these players. Putting your players in games and, putting your players in good position to win football games and not setting your players up to fail. Interesting. Now, top two safeties to begin on Friday, literally the day that just passed on the second day of training camp, was Reed Blankenship and Kevon Wallace. Okay. Now on Wednesday, it was Blankenship and Edmonds. It went from Blankenship to Edmonds on Wednesday. Then it went to Blankenship to Kevon Wallace. And yes, I said Kevon Wallace. Kevon Wallace made some plays. When he got his opportunity last year, he made a few good plays. But mostly he's been a special teamer. Mostly, even as a fourth round pick. I forgot what pick he was. PFF had him as one of the biggest, latest draft picks that we had that was going to turn really well for us at safety, and it just never happened. He's been hurt. And, his play has been up and down. And when he gets his shot, there's times where he makes plays. He did last year, I have to say. But to see Kevon Wallace there, apparently there was a big play on Friday where Kevon Wallace popped Kenny Gainwell, made the tackle really well on him and did a good job there. So, he was flying all over the field. From what I heard from Kevon Wallace, had a really good practice. Okay, so now Edmonds ended up going to the first team later on Friday, and then he began practice again with the second unit on later in the day. Now, it looks like that Justin Evans was with Terrell Edmonds with the second unit, and then obviously Sidney Brown got reps with the third unit as of right now. So been a lot of switch around back and forth with a lot of these safeties. Sidney Brown, I think it's very early right now. I think we have to give it time. Like I said, got to take everything the way it is right now because we've only had 2 practices. It's way too early. So a lot of guys are switching around. They're getting their shot. And you know what? To face a very good offense that we have right now, iron sharpens iron, guys. It's only going to make these guys better at the end of the day. So the Kevon Wallace thing kind of surprised me a little bit. Reed Blankenship doesn't, because I felt like he played pretty good last year. I think he's more of a contact safety, not really a big coverage guy, but I think his tackling is A+. I think his sample size was very good last year. I'm glad they gave him a shot last year instead of going out for a free agent that's just out there or some old vet. They gave him a shot, as an undrafted free agent. That is absolutely awesome. So, like I said, it went from Reed Blankenship and Kevon Wallace on Wednesday to Blankenship and Terrell Edmonds on Friday. Edmonds ended up going to the second team with Justin Evans, and then Sidney Brown is with the third team as of right now. So I think Sidney Brown is going to make some noise. I think we just have to be patient. I think we have to wait. And I think we're going to hear a lot of news really soon about him. It might not be tomorrow. It might not be Sunday. It might not be next week. It could be a couple weeks from now. It could be joint practices. So, once another team comes into, we start, playing against the Colts, start playing against the Bears, we start to see the competition. And obviously the Bears have a pretty good roster. The Colts have an okay roster right now. So there's some we're facing 2 pretty good teams that I think match up pretty well on us going to joint practices. So I think this is going to be really good. So like I said, this is just a formality of giving guys a shot. This doesn't mean this is first, second, third team, but it's interesting to see just where they're lining these guys up. And seems like Reed Blankenship seems like the favorite right now. He's been with, they started him on Wednesday and Friday, which is good. But Kevon Wallace, getting first dibs at safety is a little interesting, to be honest, and I'm kind of like scratching my head a little bit. But I'm not gonna say he didn't make any plays for us last year, but I just think it's just, you know, he just hasn't played up to par. That's all. You know, he came out, he got drafted by the Eagles. I felt like he was a big Brian Dawkins wannabe. He was trying to really hype himself up. He talks a lot, tried to hype himself up a little bit, and I just felt like he just went too far with himself. Maybe should have focused on himself and shut his mouth a little bit. But that's just me at the end of the day. So that was the safety position as of right now. Obviously, Justin Evans with the second team. Justin Evans is interesting too because he's a vet as well, a second-round pick from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2017. You know, and he's been hurt like every single year. Just haven't lived up to being a high draft pick. You know, went to the Tampa Bay. I think it's only been to Tampa Bay and New Orleans Saints. So, and that's another guy, and we'll talk about, actually, I'll save that for later because we're going to get into the next segment of this whole thing as well. And that is the nickel corner position as of right now. Okay. Now this one, we might be a little upset over. And like I said, we can't take it too seriously because it's too early in training camp right now. But nickel corner, right? So really during OTAs, you know, Zach McPherson was taking a lot of the reps when Avonte Maddox really wasn't practicing. A lot of Josh Jobe on the outside, especially during the couple camp practices we had. Josh Jobe has gotten a lot of reps on the outside. Heard nothing from Eli Ricks. Heard nothing from, you know, obviously Keely Ringo as of right now. So that's interesting. But from who started, since Avonte Maddox has been limited in some of the drills, and taking his place was Josiah Scott. And that is the last person in the world that I want him to take over for a game. Okay. After he lost Chauncey, or I don't know who we lost first. It was Maddox, then Chauncey. I don't even remember. But once we lost Chauncey on top of Maddox, I think Maddox was later. It just made things a lot harder because at least with Chauncey, you could move him all over the field when he was playing. But having both of them gone, Josiah Scott, you know, luckily he had a good defense around him for some games, but he's just not a great player. I mean, he had like one pick last year. Forgot what game it was he had a pick. I thought he had a pick last year, but he's just not good enough. You know what I mean? He's not good enough. There's got to be more out there. And this, like I said, this could just be they're just moving guys around and just seeing what they could do. Okay. So Josiah Scott was in that position for Avonte Maddox, and we'll see what happens. You know, in the time that is passing by. Hopefully Sunday we hear some more news or some different news on some of these guys going forward. So other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. I mean, I want to go over safety depth charts. I want to go, and it's like I said, there's not much here, but only what was given because it's just too early. We went over safety, went over nickel corner or the cornerback position in general, and we talked a little bit about the offensive line and how, you know, that versatile group is very good. I think is a very good group, probably one of the best groups we've had in a while, offensive line wise, which is awesome. We have practice on Sunday at 10 a.m., and then we get the Kelly Greens on Monday. So it's going to be a crazy weekend. Hopefully, you know, I can order a jersey on Monday. I'm praying, you know, but I hope everyone's enjoying their weekend. I hope everyone enjoys their Saturday. Make sure you just relax and wait till Sunday because we'll have a lot more competition coming. I'm excited, guys. Like I can't wait to find out more about the depth chart at wide receiver, especially for number 3 wide receiver, special teams, punt return, kick return, punter, everything like that. There's just so much more we haven't found out yet. It's just way too early. Like I said it a million times in this video because there's going to be people out there who are going to hear Kavon Wallace's name and get angry, hear Josiah Scott's name and get really angry, and we can't because there wasn't enough time for 2 days to really tell us, oh, this is how it's going to be. And plus, Sean Desai did say for the defense that there's nothing set. He is giving every player a chance to be put in a prime position to win a spot. And if you're not good enough, you're not going to get the spot. And that's just the way he goes. And he thrives on competition. I love this coach for that. I think that's a great method of doing things instead of playing your favorites, which we've had in the past. Don't worry about that. So if you guys last this long in this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video as well. We'll be covering Eagles training camp every single every single day, really, and have videos every single day. So we have a big announcement coming tomorrow, the next day I'm deciding on what is going on. And you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you guys on the next one. Shake Squad up, follow slide. Peace out, guys. Peace.